Welcome to It's Upgrade Season, the only place to get raw and unfiltered advice on how to get your shit together 1 week at a time. I'm your host, Alexandria, and join me every Monday for The Upgrade and every Friday for The Wind Down, where I'm going to be answering your dilemmas. Small shifts, huge upgrades. Let's fucking do this. Welcome to Friday, it's the wind down, and I'm going to keep this intro brief because Jake is back on the podcast. This is part 2, this is the wind down, this is where it gets even juicier than part 1 and we answer some dilemmas, so I hope you enjoy today's episode. Jake.
Alex.
Welcome to the wind down.
Great to be here.
You don't actually have any coffee left?
Nope.
I'm drinking.
I'm so pumped for this wind down. I just necked it all before we started.
Jake actually wanted to bring champagne this morning, to be fair.
But that was vetoed.
That was vetoed because it was the champagne your dad had bought over.
Well, I also said we should get some margaritas, and that was also vetoed.
I would have had where were we going to get margaritas from?
Uber Eats is a beautiful place.
I mean, okay, I wouldn't have said no. I had too many margaritas yesterday, I'm not going to lie.
I'm fully aware because I didn't, because I was driving.
Jake was driving.
I had to drive back my responsible wife and responsible parents back home.
I think
Me and Leo having to hold it down.
Hang on, to be fair, I think I only actually had 3 margaritas over the space of about 5 hours. No, I had 1 large. So that was maybe the equivalent. Okay, I had maybe the equivalent of 4 margaritas.
Okay.
Over the space of about, but that was a lot for me. The parents, there was espresso martinis at lunch. Yeah, there was whiskey
afterwards. Yeah.
It was all going down. Your dad was hungover this morning. My dad always pretends he's never hungover. I don't know if he's lying.
I think he is.
I was a bit hungover. I'm not gonna lie. I could definitely have done another spicy marg though.
Yep.
Okay, let's get into the wind down. So we're gonna answer a dilemma today, and I'm gonna start with like a cheeky little question that we got asked. I think I know what your answer to this is going to be. What are your biggest icks about each other?
Oh, what a question. I think I need some time to think about that, which I appreciate we don't have on a podcast like this. You just need
No.
One of my biggest icks. Fuck, I've got to go first, have I?
I can go first.
I tell you what my one from the other day was and this is true.
Don't know what it is.
You are going to dispute this, but this is true. You couldn't find the car keys. So you're like, found them. You're like, babe, can we please put them back in the drawer? And I was thinking about this and I was like, you used the car last. So you left the car key somewhere else.
No.
And then you couldn't find it. And then you blamed me.
No.
And I was like,
not
and
true.
And I just said to you like, sure, babe. Good idea.
You are such a dick. How many times have I gone to leave the house and I'm like, where are the car keys? And they're in your pocket.
I'm not saying
or this morning they were by your bedside table.
I'm not saying I'm an angel. It's just hey, next time can we make sure to leave them in the kitchen console? And I was like,
because evidence says in general you do not leave them in there. Okay.
I want a glimpse into our relationship and life.
Jake finds everything.
I do find everything. That's true. Yeah. Oh, I can't find this thing, babe. Here it is.
My biggest ick, I would say, like if you don't take responsibility for something when I'm pissed at you,
like leaving the car keys somewhere when I didn't.
I will lose my tiny mind. Like it literally, I will go from wildly in love with you to hating you in 0.2 seconds flat. I'm just like, just admit what you did. I definitely say that's my ick.
Yeah.
I think you know that though.
Oh, I'm fully aware.
You don't actually give me the ick though. I don't think there's anything you could do that would make me feel like, ugh.
Yeah, you don't give me the ick.
If I didn't give you the ick during pregnancy, I don't know what will.
No, absolutely not. But we spoke about that. Like there's an embrace, like a metaphorical embrace of what you're going through. So whilst you're like, oh, I'm disgusting, it's this, that, and the other, it's like, I think it's just a beautiful process and you see your partner going through that and you kind of love them even more.
I mean, we spoke about that, but we didn't speak about how gross I was. But
that is life, like we're like mammals, we can pretend we're all dolled up and makeuped up and wearing whatever, but we breathe shit, whatever.
We breathe shit.
No, they are separate verbs. We breathe, we shit, we fart, like bodily fluids are involved, that's just life, isn't it?
There was a lot of bodily fluids. Okay, so do you know what? I do actually want to share an ick that I have for men, which you are not guilty of at all. Jake is like the biggest gentleman ever. Like you go above and beyond. You know exactly what I'm going to say. You go above and beyond. Like Jake will see a woman struggling with a bag and offer to carry it. He will hold doors open. He will move chairs at a table. He is like the biggest fucking gentleman, and you are so caring. It's actually annoying sometimes. Jake's like definitely the nicer person in our relationship. He's laughing because he knows it's true. But my ick is fucking men who don't hold the door open for me when I have the pram. Like, I can't tell you. Vita was with me. She was with us in Austin a few weeks ago, and Vita witnessed it. We went out for the day when Jake was off hunting. The amount of fucking men that would walk through a door and just let it literally slam into the pram, or just literally stand there and watch me struggling, trying to open the door and shove the pram through. That is such an ick. Like, hold the door open, be a gentleman, particularly when she's got a baby on her.
No need for that.
No need.
No need.
Disgusting behaviour. Okay, so we're going to answer a dilemma. The dilemma is, how do I meet men conscious and in their divine masculine, in brackets, when I'm traveling the world solo? I thought it'd be good to bring this to you because you're a man. So I feel like you'd have like a good perspective.
Yeah. I think it's about where you're, like the pond you're swimming in, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Like, don't go out to Ibiza or Ayia Napa or like Cabo, go to some nightclub and expect to meet them there. You may do, right?
We've had some great times in nightclubs.
Exactly. Okay. And we had some great friends we've been to great nightclubs with, right? Or like Burning Man, etc. And in fact, Burning Man's probably a good example, right? Go to places where the type of person you want to meet is probably going to be. Okay. So it's probably going to be down at a breathwork session or at a certain type of cafe or something like go to Bali, maybe, you know,
Yeah.
go to certain parts of Ibiza, but maybe go to the north part of the island rather than hang around in Playa d'Embossa in an Irish bar, for example.
Yeah.
So I think that's a huge part of it.
So if you were single now and you were wanting to be found, where would you hang out? Where are the Jakes in the world?
I don't know where, like specific location wise. And I'm not saying you go to every yoga class and then turn your Tinder or Bumble on or whatever it is that kind of shows you how close people are.
It's a strategy.
But, you know, I think it's kind of that sort of stuff, isn't it? Like, I think you need to be a bit careful, don't you, in some of those places that some people are very transient. You know, you meet someone, it's like, oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from like Denmark. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from California. You know, it's not going to be like you're going to bump into your soulmate who lives just across town. But I think it's doing that sort of stuff, isn't it? That, by the way, isn't just restricted to kind of leisure either. Like, it could be work stuff, you know, getting out to some of those places, but don't expect to find them kind of lingering in the kind of metaphorically dark corners. Like, you know, you've got to put yourself out there in the places where you hope that person is also going to be.
I think that was really sound advice. My advice is going to sound a little bit opposite though. I think we can have this thing that we want this like conscious, divine, masculine man. I feel like what I'm going to say is going to be quite controversial now. I don't always think the men hanging around claiming to be divine, conscious, masculine men are actually conscious, divine, masculine men.
Well, we can talk about this on the John Wyland stuff, but the divine masculine is not a divine man. Like, within us, there's the divine masculine, the divine feminine. If you want an integrated man, right, who's got at peace with his demons and his shame, his patterns, etc. Are you going into a relationship with the self-awareness to navigate both himself and you? Yeah. Right, then, that takes many forms. You know, it doesn't mean some, you know, super macho guy who's, you know,
eating liver.
Yeah, exactly. Or equally the complete opposite of this, like really effeminate guy who is doing ecstatic or whatever, you know, like just a complete yogi. You know, they can take so many different forms.
100%.
So I think it's just being careful what we mean when we say
Okay,
With divine
I'll
masculine.
say what I mean. I mean spiritual fuckboys. Like, I think there's so many spiritual fuckboys that like use spiritual terms as a way of justifying their shitty behavior and making out they're so conscious and basically gaslighting women that they just don't get it. So like, I think sometimes if you're like I think it's easy to fall into the trap of that. Like when you're seeking out, because they're saying all the right things, but you mentioned being an embodiment then, like, are they actually an embodiment of it?
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that the other reason I was going on this tangent is I think maybe the conscious, divine, masculine man you're looking for isn't in a yoga class right now. Maybe he is working in a bank or in a 9-to-5 or, doing something else. And that's not to say that you don't have preferences of who you want to be with. I think there's just a lot to be said for like meeting someone where they're at and growing together as well. Like, you are my dream man. And I have so many friends even saying like, Jake's incredible. Like, how do you guys, we met in an accountancy firm.
Yeah.
And we did a lot of that growing together.
Yeah. And you inspired me on a lot of that growth.
So I just think constantly seeking out the complete package is a bit of a fallacy. Like, I just think
I think you'll just always be disappointed a bit because that package will vary based on how you're feeling at that moment in time. Like, oh, you're back in a big city. Great. I want this like uber successful, like corporate titan. Great. But guess what? They're not going to go and travel the world with you. So you go traveling the world and you're, the ideal partner there is some footloose, digitally remote entrepreneur. And then you go to settle down and they don't want to, so I think it's that point of growing together, isn't it? And having mutually shared aspirations.
100%. So I think my tip for like meeting, I agree, you're not going to meet the love of your life in the club. Although some people do.
Yeah.
And we've been to a lot of clubs together.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot to be said around hanging out the right places in terms of where you think those people would be. But I also think there's a lot to be said for just like trying different places and trying different, I was going to say trying different types of men, but I mean that, like, try dating different types of men. Like, maybe there's, I think you have a really big awareness now of the terminology, and you've done a lot of deep spiritual work but even before you had the terminology for it or the awareness of what it would be in terms of what you could label it, you embodied a lot of it already. So maybe find the man who doesn't know what even divine masculine means, but he's an embodiment of it.
Yeah, I think some of the verbiage, is often a misnomer. Like you said, the spiritual fuckboys, they have these tools and they have this language. But if we strip it back, what we're seeking people who've got self-awareness themselves, a curiosity and open-mindedness about the world and others around it, i.e. they're being compassionate. And then people who are passionate about loving and caring for other people, as in not just being open to, but I think what we're all looking for in that partner is someone who's going to, be heart-led and deeply invest emotionally in the relationship because they care.
Yeah.
And so those things could take a load of different forms. Someone who is like a corporate titan or an athletic, God, they're super focused on that thing. But as long as they're open-minded and they've got that capacity to care and love, you've got that self-awareness, they'll come in. Those heroes will wear different capes.
I love that. I'm curious, do you think a woman can change a man? Because I think this is something else that like pops up a lot for women. I think 100%. I think our environment impacts us massively. Okay. I think you can see that when you look at, I think the impact parents have, or when you have absent parents, the impact that has on when you're growing up. I think, for example, if I hadn't met you and I'd just been in my startup, I would have just become, if you think like, to kind of geek out on it a little bit, those neurons that like fire together, wire together, and our personalities, our behaviors. Are our neurons firing together, baby?
They are. But like they're, those patterns of behavior are just the heuristics of our brain saying, well, we did this before and it worked, so let's just do the same thing. Let's not think about it as if it was the first time we ever did anything. So if we just keep doing those patterns over and over and over and over again, we'll just become more and more that type, closed-minded, stuck in our ways, etc.
Yeah.
So when other people come over and they like shake us out some of those patterns, and we do new things, of course that changes us.
Yeah.
Same way like kids will change us. You change to a new environment, a new boss, whatever, a new partner. I think the question then is, do they change you for the better? Do they inspire you to do more and be more? Do they kind of beat you down and leave you feeling smaller? Or are you think of the nervous system, we're in that kind of parasympathetic state where we're relaxed and open, or we kind of in that sympathetic state because we're treading on eggshells and not sure if that we're going to upset them or not. So I think that's probably where, for me, that's the crux of it.
Yeah, I think it just keeps speaking to like, I think sometimes looking for the finished package, and none of us are the finished package. And I think we also as women, on the flip side of this question, have to take responsibility for that as well. Like, I'm very open and honest. You've changed me massively in our relationship as well. I think I'm much calmer. Would you agree?
I would agree.
I think I'm much calmer. That's made me giggle because I still do have my moments, but I'm definitely a lot calmer. I think I'm a lot more level-headed as well, or you help balance my more emotional responses. I remember I was going to bring this up in the main podcast. This was more like a business thing, but it always stands out in my head. Jake sent a newsletter out once, and someone responded to the newsletter basically just calling him a wanker. Can you remember this email?
Yeah.
We're in Mexico.
Yeah.
This guy like emailed him back and was like, what do you say? Like, you're a wanker or something. That was it.
Yeah.
I lost my mind. I was ready to track this man down on LinkedIn and literally ask him how he thought it was appropriate to send emails to people, calling them wankers. Like, I was ready to like fully go down the rabbit hole with this man. I was upset. I still remember it now. Like, Jake, you didn't give two shits. Like, literally just...
I just bounced off. It was like, cool.
Like, literally like water off a duck's back. Like, didn't even...
But I think it's that inner confidence, and also just knowing like they're probably going through something shitty. They're probably ill-equipped, caught them on a bad day, or if this isn't a bad day and this is their normal, well, shame on them, because if that's the way they go through life, then it's probably a pretty sorry existence.
Yeah, well said. But I feel like you've brought balance to me with that as well. All being said, like I'm still not perfect, and I will never be perfect.
You are perfect.
Thanks, Dave. I was waiting for you to say that with the Icks. I was waiting for you to say, "Oh, you have no Icks."
Hey, we got to give the audience some juice to sink their teeth into.
I had the car keys. But yeah, I feel like you get to meet in the imperfection and grow together, and that be an ever evolving journey, rather than trying to make someone perfect and be someone perfect, because that's never going to exist. We are innately imperfect as human beings.
The word perfect is totally imperfect. Like, just creates that idea, doesn't it, that like there is it's a judgment, is there, that one version of that is going to be much better than the other, and just you do you, boo.
You do you, boo. I think we can wrap that up on that one. You do you, boo. And Jake, you're going to be back for more podcast episodes because I've still got so many questions to ask you.
My agent says.
What did your agent say?
So they've got us lined up for a few more whole sub-series.
Well, we didn't talk about the Tantra Mastermind yet, which was the whole reason why I got you on. And
until next time.
Okay, ladies, I said it before, but do we need Jake back? If we do, pop me a DM, and don't forget as well to send me your dilemmas. So we have a WhatsApp number in the show notes. Send us a WhatsApp, let us know what's up, and I want to be answering your dilemmas on this podcast. Please remember they're completely anonymous as well, unless you state otherwise. So you can send your juiciest, dirtiest, darkest secrets, and I will be keeping them completely anonymous, but trying to help you out and hopefully not make anything worse. Sending you so much love. I hope you have the most amazing weekend.